so you can enjoy the show. Let me introduce my panelists. I have here seated Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. and Mr. Philip Lani. Good morning, sirs. Honorable Inu Safusede will be joining us pretty shortly. But before then, let's kickstart the conversation from Benin. Mr. Landon, let me start with you, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Last week we missed you small.
Yes, last week I had some very urgent business in Cape Coast, so
Okay.
I had to rush urgently, and I was hoping to have come back on the Wednesday, but it was too bad. When I was going there, the weather was so bad.
I'm told it's raining heavily in Takrady.
Yes, we're raining along the coast. And in fact, that morning, the dark clouds, the speed at which the dark clouds came was terrible. And you see, there's road work going on after Kaswa. So the wind was blowing up a lot of dust. So it made it very, visibility was very poor. You know, so anyway, it was a bit of stress. So I thought I'd rather stay and come the next day as against coming back the same night. Yeah. So that's why I missed you last weekend. My apologies. Yeah, on the issue, the Beninois trade unionists who have been arrested. Benin has been enjoying relatively good, development atmosphere. And there have been agitations, yes, because they're having some economic challenges, And so these responses, threat of strikes, protests, etc., and will not be uncommon, when these things occur, especially from workers' groups and all that. But the difficulty for me is the kind of response that the government seems to be giving to their, agitations. When such agitations happen, history has taught us that if they are managed well means there's more dialogue, the government is more open in explaining these issues to people tend to be more reasonable. But when there's less information flow and the government tends to be a bit high-handed, the situation tends to, deteriorate. So my worry is the way the situation is deteriorating. Because once, like they've started doing, arresting the trade union leaders, incarcerating them, the worker groups too also start responding. You have wider strikes, and then it begins to breed some, first of all, it affects the economy as workers are not going to work. It affects the general environment of the country. And any adventurous opportunists, political opportunists, might want to take advantage. So it is always good, and it is my hope that the Beninois authorities will manage the situation better, use dialogue, and use better, relations and more transparency in their actions and their decision making as a way of assuaging the feelings of the workers. But the kind of high-handedness that is being reported, arresting trade unionists and that kind of thing, I mean, it doesn't help. Remember, even here in Ghana, we had a terrible situation, something that I find very classic. You remember when Kolibu, then Director General of the hospital, Dr. Frimpong Boateng, felt that because of encroachment and general security, he wanted to wall the place. And the coffin makers said no. And those people can be very, and one day those people were charged up and the police were scared as to the consequences. What did Dr. Frimpong Boateng do? As they were in their red bands and everything, he also put on the red band, and as they were agitated, he was also agitated, and he went. And the way he handled it, tact, diplomacy, and common sense. He diffused the situation. And that is what political leaders must be alive to. You know, when people have a genuine problem, nobody can deny that things are not going well economically. Yes, because of various factors. But the government must be sensible in the way they handle it, in order that the situation does not escalate unduly and create other complications which would then begin to adversely affect the country, both economically and politically. I think they've come a long way. They've come a long way. So their leaders should be a bit more, I'll use the word, it's not the best word to use, but I think it should be, I don't want to use the word sensible, but they should use it better. You see, they should handle the situation better so that, you know.
Thank you very much, Mr. Philip Landon. Let me come to Honorable Inusa Fuseni, who just joined us. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Kwame.
I trust you are well.
I'm fine.
The traffic was bad there.
Yes, some car broke down in the middle of the road.
Oh.
I don't know how Master was able to
navigate there.
Yes. Created unnecessary traffic.
So, Benin.
Well, African governments, before I launch into my submission, let me say good morning to Mr. Philip Landon, Comrade Pratt, your good self, and our numerous viewers from across the globe. African leaders, when they are elected into office, assume tendencies that are quite dictatorial in certain respects, because it's the people. Sovereignty of any nation resides in the people. Even in military coups, when the people resist the coup d'etat, it will fail. Those people are not voted into office. Military men are not voted into office. But when the people come together to resist it, it will fail. And no group of people can stand before a teeming crowd of people who want change, who want to see their living conditions improved. He who feels it knows it best. Those who are ensconced in ivory towers, who are being fed by the taxpayers' money, who bath in the air because the taxpayer has given the money to do that, should know that when they bath, the dirty water falls on the people.
You mean in the sky?
In the sky.
Okay.
You know, and so it is very important for leaders to understand that people do not just take pleasure in moving onto the streets. People move onto the streets as a case of last resort. In most cases, that when the space for dialogue and debate, discussion on their living conditions is constricted, then they will want to go onto the streets. That's why you hear the general parlance that politicians understand only demonstration. Because when they fail to provide evidence for people to voice their concerns, the only option left to the people is to demonstrate. And civil disobedience or demonstrations, civil strife, is part of the tenets of democracy. So I'm surprised that President Talon has not appreciated this basic condition, that having been voted into office, he has responsibility, to meet the legitimate the expectations of the people of Benin. And if the people of Benin feel, and rightly so, that their expectations are not being met, that the prevailing economic conditions is wreaking havoc on their lives, the hardship and misrule of the government is creating conditions that are fertile for them to voice their concern. It's only proper that if you cannot dialogue with them, you allow them to vent their feelings. May Day is a day set aside and universally recognized as Workers' Day. It's these workers who contribute to the development of the country. They leave their homes early in the morning and some at night and go to toil. They go to the farms, to the fields, to toil for food to be on our table, for the country to develop, for roads to be made, for health to be delivered. And if the recklessness of any government or misrule of any president is causing problems, the little that democratic societies expect of leaders who have been elected into office through the manifestation of the sovereign will of the people is to allow them to do that. If you cannot or do not feel predisposed to engaging them in discussions. And so I will join the socialist movement of Ghana to condemn the arrest of these people. I mean, we are not told that they were destroying any property. We were not told that they were being lawless and rowdy. We were told that they were just expressing dissent, complaining about the hardship. And the hardship is pervasive. In Ghana, somehow we have been shocked into silence by the recklessness of the Nana Akufo-Addo's government. Everybody thinks that, well, this government will not hear, will not listen, will not change. And so we have decided to resign ourselves to our fate and wait till the 7th of December when we can show them the exit door. But and there have been some demonstrations. I remember on Nkrumah's birthday, I was here, 24th of February.
Yes, you
and
were.
when I was driving back home, I heard on the news that the Occupy Julobi House demonstrators had been arrested. And I thought that, well, they were manifesting their constitutional right to demonstrate. And Julobi House is a government house, and that is the people's house. And if they wanted to go to the people's house, why would they be stopped? I mean, they contributed to build the house where the president stays. And I thought that this was gross injustice. And I moved. I don't know what moved me. I just turned my car towards the police station and went and offered them support, legal support, to be able to secure the bail to come out. So clearly, people have that right. And I'm saying that Ghana, we've experienced some demonstrations. And people have been arrested and freed. But it is part of the democratic tenets for people to demonstrate against a government if they feel that the way the government is running the country doesn't meet their expectation, legitimate expectation. And the people of Benin, just like the people of Ghana, have that right. And President Talon must release them unconditionally and immediately.
Well, thank you very much. I like how you describe the situation with the ivory tower theory.
Yeah.
There's a quote that says the ivory tower is a nice place if the door is opened. Mr. Pratt, please.
Well, West African leaders, really, all of them, without exception, are constantly demonstrating to the world that they have no belief in any democratic tenets, and that their sole objective is to remain in power for as long as they can. And they support each other. They extend their terms, rig elections, and all the leaders go there to congratulate them. When West African leaders misbehave, their counterparts just go and salute them. When the opposition or the working people protest against their leaders, West African leaders condemn them. So gradually, they have reduced ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, to a club of dictators and nitwits. That's what they've done. I mean, what Talon has done in Benin, you can't understand it. Workers celebrating May Day carrying placards which denounce economic hardship and insecurity. Go and beat them up, tear gas them, lock them up in prison and so on. What is that meant to demonstrate? I mean, Talon is completely misbehaving and he has to be called to order. Now, we have to understand very clearly that our leaders have formed their club of dictators. We need to form a club of resistance of the working people across the sub-region in order to confront these developments. Clearly reckless. What is that meant to do? Another West African leader has actually decided now the people have no right to elect the president. And we are tolerating it. In Ghana, you have another West African leader who says that if you elect so and so, I will not hand over. And we are tolerating it. We should not be tolerating these leaders. Now, what accounts for the hardships in Benin and other West African countries is the pursuit of the neoliberal order, the pursuit of the neoliberal agenda. It has had devastating consequences on the lives of our people. Rising inflation, rising food prices, rising petroleum prices, rising unemployment and so on. And we must begin to work for a new West Africa which has broken out of the new colonial yoke. A new West Africa which is mobilizing its people in order to build systems which gives control of their resources to the working people and which exploits these resources in the interest of our people. That's the new West Africa we should be building. We should be building a new West Africa in which nobody dies out of malaria, which is a curable disease, preventable and curable disease. We should be building a new West Africa in which all the people have access to potable water. We should be building a new West Africa which is able to feed itself, and not the kind of West Africa that our leaders are trying to perpetuate. This new colonial order in which we keep our foreign reserves in other people's central bank, in which we are compelled to borrow our own money and pay interest on it and so on. This is not the West African people want. And that is why it is important for the progressive political parties and movements, for organized labor, and so on, across the sub-region to unite and stand up to these dictators and nitwits who have managed to become our leaders through a corruption of the electoral process. We must stand up. We have no other choice but to stand up against these dictators, moribund dictators. And we insist that the Talon regime should not only release the 42 persons it is holding in detention, it must also bear the full cost of their medical treatment. Some of them have been badly injured, and the government should take responsibility for taking care of their health needs. And it must never be allowed to do what it has done again. What is this?
Well, thank you very much. Let me remind viewers that you are still watching Pan-African Television. We're streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on all other social media platforms. We are also in 46 other African countries. The WhatsApp number will be projected in your screens now, but if you by any chance have it already, you can leave me a text message and I will read the messages here for you. My next topic has got to do with some statements which were made by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in relation to legacy, and former President John Dramani Mahama, Honorable Insa Fuseni, I'm coming to you, has swiftly impugned the stipulations made by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in relation to legacy. He responded to Nana Addo in equal measure. Honorable, let me start this topic with you.
Well, so Nana Addo says that we shouldn't elect John Dramani Mahama because he will not protect his legacy. And I was shocked when I read that. I mean, Nana Addo is proud of where he has led Ghana to. I was shocked. Because everybody in Ghana knows that this president is a colossal failure. He failed to the extent that his own vice president does not even want to protect his legacy. while the vice president is still vice president to the president. The vice president has significantly said things that clearly should show the NADU that in the unlikely event that his vice president succeeds him, he's not even going to protect his legacy. What do you expect, or what will you expect John Dramani Mahama to protect? Because you have no legacy. I mean, nobody should be proud of a bankrupt country. The legacy of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is that for the first time in the history of this country, he's led Ghana to a bankrupt nation. Even Ignatius Kutu Achampong did not do that. When Ignatius Kutu Achampong, I.K. Achampong, said Yentuya, it was not because of bankruptcy. It was because he deprecated the extent of corruption in the system and the fact that people had used state power to enrich themselves by taking loans. And so he said Yentuya. So not even Achampong, who had been described as Fawutubaji Gulf, led Ghana to this state. And what legacy? A legacy of the CD being 14 cities and rising. Is that a legacy we are talking about? You want that one?
No, free SHS.
The legacy of free HHS. That's you want that one?
One district, one factory.
You want that legacy?
One village, one dam.
You want that legacy? That's not legacy. This has sloganism. Our constitution itself. So probably we should talk about the constitution. The directive principles of state policy clearly shows us the pathway to free HSS. In fact, I have said, and with the greatest apologies to Mr. Philip London, that what Nana Akufo-Addo did was just to hasten the journey to an obvious end. Because the Constitution has said that, well, our vision, global vision, should be that we should be heading towards free senior high school, free secondary education. The Constitution has said that. And that because of the state of our economy, we should hasten slowly. And so we should be introducing free senior high school education progressively. Nana Akufo-Addo says, I don't agree with the Constitution, I want to do it now. And he's done it. And so we've got the traffic lights. And that's a legacy. To keep some people at home and some people in school. 2 days ago I was reading an Indian boy who clocked his examination paper. So you know what his parents just did? His parents did not believe that he should go and sit in the class and be learning. They just bought past questions, and instead of answering past questions, they were taking him through past questions. And like lazy Africans and lazy Indians, we repeat questions. So when he went, some of the questions he had solved came, and he answered them, and answered them rightly, and he blew the papers. That's the strategy, that's the legacy that Nana Akufo-Addo is leaving with the SSS, and SSS of past questions. You want us to inherit that legacy. We want our people to be educated to think, to solve problems by thinking. In Lagos, we did critical thinking, to think critically about issues, not to just parrot. That's what we want our students to be. In fact, last year, for the first time in the history of the University for Development Studies Medical School, they had to conduct exams to sieve students who are qualified to read medicine in the university. And when they conducted an independent exam, some of the students, their answers did not show that they were the same students who passed the exams. You want that legacy? John Dramani says, yes, we've gotten to a place where we are free senior high school, but we must improve upon the free senior high school. This one is not delivering the expectation of a country that is well educated, that is producing a human resource that can move this country forward. So we are not talking about the legacy of John Dramani Mahama. We are talking about the legacy of corruption. That everywhere you turn, you are confronted with corrupt activities. Who inherits that legacy? Is there a legacy that is well inherited? Yeah? The minister can have so much money under her bed and in wardrobes that even her housemates can steal the money without her knowing. And the only chance of her knowing that they were stealing her money was when the husband chanced on the housemates. Can you imagine what would have happened? If the husband never chanced on these housemates, the minister would not have known that they were stealing the money. That legacy you want? You want a legacy of a broken, dysfunctional system where UCO and OSP and the Attorney General are fighting over just telling the people of Ghana where the minister got her money from. The source. The source. Nobody is, when you say you have money, okay, we are suspicious that this money is coming from dubious sources. The 3 state institutions, just to tell the people of Ghana the source of the money, they have been unable. You want that legacy? You want the legacy of impunity, where there is gross lack of accountability in the system, where the president has earned the dubious title of a clearing agent, where Mata Hamidu describes him as a mother serpent of corruption. Which president succeeding Nana Akufo-Addo will want to inherit that legacy? A legacy of being the champion of corruption. You want the legacy of talking down on people, talking down on people, arrogance. No, John Dramani Mahama is so humble that he will not exhibit that arrogant conduct, and so he will not inherit arrogance. He will not inherit. If he inherits the broken down system, he will repair it. That's why he says he's going to reset this country on the path of prosperity. He's going to rescue this country from doldrums. What doldrums? The doldrums being the legacy of Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. And for the first time, I liked the swift response of John Dramani Mahama. Swift. Immediately Nana Akufo-Addo spoke about not electing John Dramani Mahama because he won't protect his legacy. Less than 3 hours, John Dramani Mahama was on Twitter, X, formerly Twitter, clearly saying to the whole world that no, he will inherit that legacy, because nobody is proud of that, and I'm sure Nana Akufo-Addo is not proud of that. There are few people who are proud of that, and one of them is the Asante Regional Chairman. He thinks that Nana Akufo-Addo has done so well that the Americans or British will one day come for Nana Akufo-Addo to be their president. So they can't be proud of Nana Akufo-Addo's achievement. But Nana Akufo-Addo's achievement as a government, as a president, is so abysmal that nobody will want to be associated with him. And we see the indication in the way the vice president is distancing himself from the Nana Akufo-Addo's administration. In fact, he has so distanced himself to the point that he's even prepared to call himself a mate, a driver's mate. That means he's not in control, and that the person in control should be held responsible for the economic mess, and that he's not part of it. And Nana Akufo-Addo still calls that a legacy. A legacy where you are presently running the country on T-bills. This country is presently being run on T-bills, short-term instruments, and you want that legacy. And so for me, Nana Akufo-Addo's legacy is simply that he'll be remembered as a president who ran this country aground, as a person who before he became president, greater number of people of this country had confidence in his abilities to rule this country. And then, yes, because that gave him the impudence to say, try me and see. Because many people, and I engage in many debates and discussions with people who were on the other side in 2016. Immediately we started talking about how Nana Akufo-Addo cannot rule this country because of his predisposition, because of the way he carries himself. He said, stop. We know this is what is politics you are doing. Those people these days, when they see me, they say, who born here? Yeah, this is your stone. Because we know him. We know him. One MPP man met me when I was doing my exercise, stopped me while chatting. He said, sir, it's true. We have always known that Nana Akufo-Addo hasn't got leadership qualities. We have always known that. But to be honest with you, we never knew that given the opportunity to rule this country, he will be a disaster. And people have told me that. And so he said anytime Akufo was traveling with him, Nana Akufo-Addo will just drink a bottle of Coke and sleep. He won't even read any document. You sleep. So clearly, John Dramani Mahama has said and sent a warning to him, sent a response to him. Your legacy is no legacy worth protecting.
Maybe that person was deaf to this adage that says, or proverb, that a decorated monkey
is still an ass.
Mr. Philip Landed. But before that, let me read a message from Ambassador Sampiel. It says that in our traditional settings, we do not name children after bad, worthless ancestors. A boy named after Judas will always be a suspect. How can anybody in his right senses wish to inherit an arrogant president who does not respect traditional rulers? Is it the economic tragedy that Mahama should inherit, Ejapadie or Galamsey? Mr. Landon.
Well, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, in his campaign for his vice president, his vice, who is also the leader and candidate for his party, made these comments. I would have hoped that His Excellency the President would rather have focused on, like all the candidates, what all the candidates should do, on their own message, what they want to sell to the people. But the comments he has passed has begged so many questions, so many issues. My brother Alaji, at one point, with all due respect to his friend Philip London, I mean, somebody had gone and said this thing, why do you respect that? What you do? The man went and made his comment. Anyway, you see, it is like, I find the situation like when, in any man or woman's life, you have, say, a wife or a partner, then that one goes for one reason or the other, another one comes. Then the situation may be such that you are asking yourself that, oh, so the other one So today you hear a lot of reference to the head of state, former head of state, that my good brother made reference to. Ike Achampong, General Ike Achampong. At a point during his rule, he was seen as one of the baddest men in Ghana. But today, people reflect and say, oh, Kutusu Oyebio.
Yeah, can actually point to something.
Yes! Kutu Oyebi. I mean, and people begin to look and say, hey, but for Kutu, these estates would not have existed. And it was a policy. As I said last week, I was in Cape Coast. The same conversation came up among just private friends. And we were all reminding ourselves that, you know, there's an area of Cape Coast called Bakano. Yes, not too far from St. Augustine's, where there's a hospital in between. And between there and Cape Coast University, it used to be virtually bushland. And people crossing that area, we used to believe that they were crossing, they were traveling. Until the Ula estates came up, that the Sadal estates came up. I can't jump on. And it happened all over the country. From the coast to the north. He made it a policy to ensure that he introduced new things. He said the regional minister should not necessarily come from the region, somebody else should come from the region. There were people who couldn't imagine something like that could happen. There were people who resisted it. But some of the persons who came as regional ministers, when they were leaving, the same people were now saying, said, oh, this man, who doesn't come from here? So then Ghanaians began to, for some people who had grown up thinking that it is only people who are of their own lineage who they could, they were, oh, after all, if somebody is competent enough, why can't we work with him? These were some of the lessons that Achampong, I mean, Nkrumah had sold them. We had tended to forget them. He brought it back. So you see, people even talk about Liman. So now, where we've got to, the kind of governance we're going through now, people are asking themselves questions. Because the expectations that the broad mass of Ghanaians, including myself, had as at January 2017, was that things were going to move in a different direction. There was going to be something different. A lot of people who had that expectation are bitterly disappointed. People are seeing things that they never dreamt they would see. People, I mean, issues come up in the papers and people doubt.
Yeah, it's done.
How? There's only one thing that happened that I doubted Nanado would ever do. But alas, he did it. If I somebody had told me he would have done that, I told the person, my friend, this man, I know him, he would never do that. And that was for President Akufo-Addo to become one of the best friends of, or he and Jerry Rawlings to be best friends. I remember the same man. Today I'll say it. I don't have a problem saying it. Met me somewhere. He was annoyed with me. Why? He had seen me on TV the other day. And in my discussion, I was actually laughing and I was tapping my good brother Kwesi Pratt. He said, how can this man be your friend? No! I said, oh, this is my nature. I don't have a problem with the man himself. We disagree on issues. But we are friends, our friends. No. Yes. Jerry, don't. You see, so, well, these are some of the things. Now, you come down to legacy. People would aggregate all that you did, the good and the bad, and look at it as those things that will stand out as your legacy. As we all live our own lives, we are careful to ensure that at least we leave certain landmarks because we know not the day. So at least they can say that, oh yes, this man, we can say this about him, we can say that. So as we live our lives daily, we are conscious that. So that is legacy. So as a head of state or president, yes, you will not make everybody happy. It's not everybody who will agree with you on everything you do. But you will want to ensure that at least, well, yeah, because you will not be head of state forever. You will definitely not be head of state forever. That is a matter of fact. So, when that day comes when you are no longer head of state, how would you be remembered? That will be the key things that people remember you for. You see. So, as for that one, it is not for you to accuse anybody that he will not respect my legacy. No. As for the legacy there, it is free. It is you who are establishing it for yourself. It is for you to make your own message. So, I believe that just as we are all today reflecting on Dr. Hilary Mann, President Kufuor, President Mills, all the way up to Nkrumah, we are looking at our leaders. So my issue is that, for me, it's not a matter of whose legacy. My issue now is, how do we, having learned all these lessons, how do we as a country move forward? How do we ensure that what we want is done? That for me is the key issue. That is the key issue. I expect that when a project is being, it has commenced, whether it's borrowed funds, taxes put together, or whatever, and there is a change of government,
Must continue.
that project must continue. And we should have the kind of examples that President Mills set when the N1 was being commissioned. He invited President Kufuor. He did not shy away from the fact that he had played his own role. That is how it should be. Political differences that don't mean we are enemies, or everything about you must be bastardized. If somebody has bought some hospital equipment, like those, what do you call them, mobile clinics, I feel very, very sorry that they were majorly made to go waste.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine. I can't imagine that these equipment, hey, somebody can say the price was this or whatever. Hey, that's their business. We have the equipment here. I met a friend in those days who was lamenting bitterly. He said, look, if this equipment were around, it would have helped in the health management during the COVID era. It would have been key. We said that it worked. Indeed, the University of Ghana hospital was virtually shut down. All kinds of excuses were being given why it was not in operation until emergencies forced the system to open it up. Why should we do that? It's wrong. It is wrong, unacceptable. So we should have a governance system that we accept. And if any government behaves like that, we should hold that government up.
How do we deal with that?
We should deal with it. How shouldn't we?
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you that we
Yes.
should deal with that. But
Yes.
what do you propose? Because
So see,
this is a
advocacy-
perennial issue, to be honest with you.
Advocate is
And you're
because
right.
we have virtually accepted it. Because the government will say it and justify their
Absolutely.
action. And then we even the opposition who should deal with that government tends to say, well, this is how things go. No! Our traditional rulers should put their foot down.
But
When the head of state comes, the new head of state or whoever comes, he should tell, my friend, that project that your predecessor or some of your former predecessor started, that is still sitting there. What are you doing about it? Ask him publicly.
there's a chief in the Volta region who suggested to the president that the
I
e-blocks
won't go
still,
into that one. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the principle. But that chief did well.
Yeah.
Yes, we all saw what happened.
Yeah.
But all the chiefs should do that.
Right.
And various chiefs too have been doing it.
Right.
It's not all the things that some of our traditional leaders do that is public. Sometimes when you are close to power, you get a bit close to power. Sometimes you get to see and hear some of the things that actually occur. Sometimes out of politeness, and in order not to be misconstrued, some of the traditional leaders might want to handle it in a particular way. I would wish they are more upfront about it, like the leader in the Volta region did. You know, hold the leaders' feet to the fire. And we should decide our leaders based on what we know they will do, for what do they stand for. That is what should determine. Not because somebody wants his legacy to be added or not. No. That should not be the issue. Make another political opponent the focus of your campaign. That is no campaign. The message should be the campaign. And people should listen to the message. What is this man going to do if you give him that chance? That should be the message, not about no. That one for me is, we should refocus. We should refocus completely. We need leaders who, we've all experienced it. We all know it. We all know it. You know, President Kufuor, when he was president, people fought him. They said, why have you brought the CPP man into your government? He said, no, I need the man. When he appointed Kwesindu, there were people in his party who protested. But why should that be? He put his foot down. You know, President Mills, he too, when our DCEs, he said, oh, because we are going for a runoff and all that, he wanted the DCEs to continue in office. He had a lot of backlash from his own party. It's about time we as a country sit down and look at all these things and say, no, we should depart from this naked partisanship and deal with the issues. We should deal with the issues. Because, look, at the end of the day, we are the ones who will suffer.
True.
We are the ones who will suffer.
True.
You know, so for me, it's not about voting for somebody who will preserve your legacy. Any legacy that is worth its salt would. What wasn't done to Nkrumah? What wasn't done to Nkrumah? And in spite of all that, today he's still standing tall. So it's not about who you elect or don't elect that will make a difference to your legacy. If your legacy is solid enough, and every leader should focus on having a solid legacy, that is what, and it's not for you to tell people. People themselves will say it for you. So as for the comment His Excellency the President made today, I do not agree with it at all.
Yes. Now let's look at the response from Mahama. I think you've not really touched on that.
Well, His Excellency, former President Mahama, he gave his response. And that is how he sees to respond to it. But you see, like I said, when you say certain things, it beggars certain responses. Because some of what he has said are facts. That yes, hyperinflation, people have referred to the president as arrogant, people have referred to the president, all the things he said, people have referred to him. Like I said, every president will have these allegations against him. Your focus should be on the positives that you'll be remembered for. But if you start talking about this, then you go and wake up all these other things.
All these ghosts.
Yes. So at the end of that's what my point is, that look, at the end of the day, focus on what you want to be remembered for. If unfortunately for you, you are human, like we all are, you go and make a mistake that people won't forget, you should find a way of repairing the situation so people won't forget it and want to remember you for it. Although even if they remember, they'll feel sorry for you about it. Yeah.
Brilliant submission from Mr. Philip London. Let me read a few messages here and then I come to Mr. Pratt. Good morning to you, citizens. What legacy is he talking about? I'm pretty sure that is the legacy of sleeping in public and sinking millions of dollars into a hole called cathedral. For that legacy, every single Guardian, no. I think the president is rather speaking the opposite way, because he himself and many Ghanaians know he has no track record. MPP must go, Nana must go, Bawumia must go, Ghana must be saved. Said John Paul, immediate past SRC president of Tamale Technical University. This one says, watching you live and clear inside Indianapolis, Kumasi, Tanaso, Kesbin Junction. Keep up the good work. Oh, thank you very much. Senior Slide says, this current MPP-led Akufo-Addo Bawumia government is the worst and corrupt type in our history. They are looting our taxes left and right. Bawumia has nothing to offer than lies. Let's kick out MPP in the upcoming elections to save Ghana from a big ditch period. It's live. GT Accra, Greater Accra region, sorry. Sal Daru says, good morning to you, KOD, and your gallant panel. KOD, please let us not find Wadanado is feeling funny. Okay, he has won the election already, hence I'm going to hand over to an MPP successor in 2025. Comments. Let's get ready to confront and get rid of him. Okay, all right. Newton says, which legacy is he talking about? The one Bawumia is running away from? How can he expect Mahama to inherit that crime? All right, Mr. Pratt, please.
Listen, I want to start from Mr. Mahama's own response to the statement which was made by His Excellency the President. And I'm reading that response from the Daily Guide, page 3.
Okay.
And it's in quotation marks. Of course, I will not protect your legacy of corruption, misgovernance, arrogance, ineptitude, bankrupt economy, increased unemployment, and pushing more of our people into the poverty bracket. This is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Should I say anymore? There's nothing to say. He says he will not protect this legacy. Should anybody protect a legacy like this? I have nothing to say.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm even confused. This one says, we are accused of Takrade. So the abysmal performance of the MPP and tandem with their state capture greed agenda has really exonerated the NDC JM. In fact, MPP, okay. Regards to lawyer Faye doing coming MP for Takrade constituency. Well, thank you very much for your message. This one also says, oh, you only sent hi. James says, what is wrong with this man? What legacy is he leaving behind for some of us to come and destroy? Is it the legacy of disrespecting chiefs or what? In fact, wonders shall never end. From James K. Saraba. Thank you, James, for your message this morning. This one is from J.K. Gidiglo. Former President John Dramani Mahama said it all. In Genesis 4:7, God told Cain, if you did well, you will be accepted. In short, what is the president afraid of? That will be exposed after MPP is banished like Cain. All right, thank you very much for your message this morning. Buhari says, good morning to you, KO. The little said about the president, the better. What legacy is the president talking about? Legacy of corruption, bankrupt economy, selective justice, insecurity across the country, high unemployment rate, high cost of living, hardships all over. Good morning, sir. Honorable Alhaji Inusa Fussein. This one is from Buhari Bukurusum Tamale. KOD, the man Nanado should be pardoned for his age. Last year, was he not the one who told us to vote for someone who would come and fix this mess? Nana, sorry to tell you that your mess would be destroyed. Razak Tamale Wamale. Womale. Womale. Okay. Good morning to you all. What legacy is Akufo-Addo talking about? The corruption, the PDA scandal, the clearing of ministers, the hiring of private jets with something Bruni that says the good for everyone legacy. He should come out and tell the good people of Ghana of the legacy which he is talking about. From Amos in Asimfosu. Thank you, Amos, for your message this morning. This one also says, good morning to you, champion. Please, you've not been reading my messages. Why? I just read your message and you didn't send any message actually. So next time, please send a message. This one says, so after all the boastful talks of transforming Ghana, Baumia is now comparing MPP government era to NDC era we shall see in December period. From Ablade Fiekuma Zongo Takrade. Thank you very much for your message this morning. And you can also send your messages to us via WhatsApp or via Facebook, and we'll read the messages here for you. I wanted us to discuss the companies that are folding up, but maybe we'll save it for last. But let me start with you, Mr. Philip Landon, on the next topic. EC board members EC board member offers prayer for smooth voter registration exercise. Just like we prayed for rain to fall so that I could so move. Oh dear. Well,
Thank you. I haven't actually heard that story. Neither have I read the details. But I myself, when I'm going to do anything, I pray the Almighty first before I do it. So if this EC official has decided to pray, I think Is this in order for them? What I hope that EC official is not doing is that they will be hoping that by virtue of that prayer, the machines will work. The papers will get there on time. I mean, you know, in this world there, you see, assuming you and I want this one bottle standing here, you pray that God will help you get it. I also pray to the same God that you help me get it. So who will God let get it? God will let the one who has worked and deserves to get it, to get it. That is how it is. So if you sit back and pray and sit there and cross your legs and think that because you pray so therefore it's going to happen, you're joking. So I sincerely hope that is not the thought of that EC official. I don't know who that official is, but I sincerely hope that that is not their thought. You see, and one thing that is beginning to disturb me so much is that, you see, officials who want to use, I mean, we've seen a minister who is always quoting the Bible, he's always, you know where the economy is.
And wearing white.
I mean, what is that? You see, people like that, God is more annoyed with them than anybody else.
Demonstrating piety.
No, my friend. God doesn't, look, the Bible is abound of stories of people who behave like that and God visited his wrath on them. Do the job, do the work the way God will want you to do it. Then he will help you. But if you are not doing what is right, when people are pointing out to you that, look, this thing you are doing, if you follow this course, this is going to be the likely consequence. You close your ears. You don't want to listen. The wife is, you go and pray. You think God will listen to you? So, if the official is praying, fine. That is fair. But they should do their job first. That is the only way God will listen to their prayers. Because, you see, the Almighty, and that is our advice to all those people who are praying and doing the wrong thing. God, he is a very patient God. That's what we are told. He will visit his decision on them one day. They'll be sorry. So, my advice is that they should do the job. I mean, all jokes aside, you know, this type of thing should cease. I mean, this exercise that started today is what, this week, third day. The first and second days were virtually disasters. Virtually disasters. The Electoral Commission didn't come out to make a statement. You have a press conference just a couple of days before the exercise starting, giving the impression that you've done everything you were. Why didn't you do that press conference earlier? For us to track your progress towards the D-Day. You will come up with the press conference a couple of days before. And then when the day starts, chaos. The earliest the election, the registration was about midday, when people have traveled all over to come to various centers to come and register and go to work. This is unacceptable.
Well, thank you very much. I'm wondering why Prof is getting a small portion of the front page of the daily graphic. Okay. Honorable Leaders of Zeni.
Oh well, so you don't know what the appointed electoral officers of the EC are made of. You don't know why, when the Nakufado decided to pack the Electoral Commission with sympathizers of his party, everybody raised concern. Concern because we didn't think that he was packing the EC with people who were capable of delivering on the job. And the EC being a very critical institution within our democratic setup should be made up of people who think, who provide solutions, who will carry the people along with them, who understand the remit of their job, who will provide solutions even before the problems arise. But you have a Reverend Akua Ofori Boaten. That's a calling. She's a reverend. And so all she does is offer prayers to God, intervene, seek the intervention of God. That's what she knows, and she does it best. You send her to the Electoral Commission and you expect her to think like an engineer. It won't work. So if we are blaming ECOWAS for button for the prayer, you equally have to blame her appointor, who did not evaluate what she could bring to ensuring that the EC works to the expectation of the people before nominating her or appointing her to the Electoral Commission. And we have said that apart from the first EC that was appointed by His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, because Ghana was just transitioning from a military rule to a democratic rule, the only president in our history after John J.J. Rawlings to have appointed all the members of the EC is Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And that's dangerous. And the EC itself should be looking at that as a credibility deficit and have to work to earn the respect of the people of this country in doing what is right. And the EC itself have been known to speak loosely. The director of operations, or what was his name? What's his name? Who was teaching in Legon.
Sribo.
Dr. Sribo. Look at what he said of the major opposition party in this country being a threat to Ghana's democracy. How can a referee determine who is a threat to our democracy? Lose talk. But what was it about? EC ruled out a timetable because people turn 18 on a daily basis. So at the cutoff date for registration in the last registration, many people have turned 18. It is important to bring all these people onto the register for the purposes of election 2024. Some people decided that they would not be part of the electoral process, either because they were members of a Seventh-day Adventist church, or they just simply did not believe in the system. Those people have been given another chance to be on the register.
Or were out of the country.
Or some people were out of the country. They have since returned. Out of the country, they couldn't register. They are now permanently in the country. They want to register to be part of the decision-making process, so they are being given a chance. Ghana has transitioned from recording manually the registration of potential voters to using the BVR and BVD systems. Now, that means that the system, the setup itself must work on the internet. There must be internet connectivity at any place that registration is taking place. If the registration will be directly compiled. Now, if the registration is to be offline, in areas not serviced by the internet, it means that those who are being registered must be offloaded onto the register or temporary register immediately they are at a site that has internet. So, if you go to an area and the internet itself operates on the availability of power, electricity, because they are machines. Now, we have DANSO. We have power outages. 2 years ago, I was listening to someone who said, the government should not be toying with us. I mean, wanting us like in Animal Farm. The writer is who? George Orwell, like in the George Orwell satirical novel. The government should not be taking for us. Because it's we who live in our homes, who live in the areas, who live in the communities. It's we who must determine whether we are getting constant power supply or we are getting erratic power supply. So in this case, I even listened to the EC boss, Jean Mensah, who said that because of the power situation, they had procured a lot of generators.
Yeah.
I listened to her. Now, so
later they said because of
They will take it offline. So you go and then there are glitches, technical glitches. You don't call the engineers to come and see how they fix this things. And you are offering prayers to God to descend from high heavens. How can we cheapen God like that? God to become the technician or what? I mean, God is so omnipotent, he's so high. We shouldn't cheapen him. And bringing him to mundane affairs like registering people to vote. Me, I'm a man of faith. I believe in God. And I've gone to Mecca so many times. But I also believe in the Quranic injunction that God will not intervene to change your life unless you take steps by yourself to change your life. God will not do that for you. So you want smooth registration. You must take steps to ensure that you will have smooth registration. So you need internet connectivity. Is it there? Checked. Or no internet connectivity. I'm doing it offline. Checked. You need BVRs and BVDs which can work without internet connectivity. Have we provided them? Check. You need people, all other materials that go with the registration officers to be on site at the time that they are supposed to be on site. Are they there? Check. But you don't plan things wrongly, poorly, and expect that you will pray to God to intervene. I mean, if God were that near, even though God says it's near, pray to me, I will answer you. If God were that near, then we don't need to have an electoral commission. We don't need to have an electoral commission. We just pray to God that, well, God, this election 2024, intervene. And those who are 24, 18 years, let them appear and register, or on the register. And if anybody is not 24 and appears, strike him down dead. We could just pray like that, and God, if God were that near to answer our prayers, then we won't have a problem. In that case, if you want God to do the work for you, then what is your purpose? What's your role at the Electoral Commission? You want God to do the work for you, for which you are paid. Then you better sack yourself, because that means you can't do the work. And this is what exposes our country to a country of jokers.
Mr. Pratt, I think God is in very serious trouble. These politicians, I don't know. I think they just made up their mind to destroy God completely. First of all, they present him as a very biased entity. So parties are going for elections, and MPP people come and say the work is the Lord's, it's God who will put them there. Why on earth would God display such partiality towards the MPP and against the NDC? If there's a God who is so partial, I don't want to see him, I don't want to worship him. But that's the image they create of God. We've run out of some people decide that pray over the Akosombo Dam. They drive all the way to Akosombo and pray and pray and pray, and the situation does not change. What picture of God are they painting? A God who doesn't listen to his people when they are in trouble? I mean, amazing. If we allow these politicians, they will destroy God completely. They will destroy him to nothing. They talk of a God who created heaven and earth, a God who created all the planets, Neptune, Earth, Saturn, and so on. And you know what pleases that God? A small house in a small part of Accra called Cathedral. That's what they want to give to God to make him happy. And that God, they are building that house in his honor and to make him happy. And he doesn't give them the wisdom to raise the necessary resources to build the cathedral. In the end, they spend $200 million digging a hole. What kind of God is this? My brother, can you picture what kind of God we are talking about? When people want to honor him, he doesn't even give them the wisdom to honor him. So they end up sinking 200 million in a hole. People campaign for power. They give them the power in order to do a job that would alleviate poverty, that will do all the things that the electorate want. As soon as they get power, they start praying to God to come and do the work for them. Why did you go for the job if you know you can't do it and that only God can do it? Why did you go for the job? This woman, God knows what she did to become an electoral commissioner. May have lobbied, may have done all kinds of things to catch the eye of the president. The job is given to you. Now you are calling God to come and do the job. Why are you sitting in the electoral commission if you can't do the job and it's God who has to come and do the job? What are you sitting there for? In any case, after her prayer, what happened? Internet went off. In Norton, they had the incidents of defective equipment. In one polling station, they could only register 37 out of more than 100, and so on. So, what are you doing to God? This woman, priest, what is she doing to God? Just destroying God's reputation for nothing. And look, I am in full agreement with my brother Philip London. If some of the things they say about God is true, like he moves in a mysterious waves and he strikes down his enemies and so on, if they are true, these people should be very careful. Because that God, he doesn't joke. He will strike you down in no time. Read the scriptures. I remember when I was a little boy, I went to Sunday school. And I was being told about how God created everything and so on. And in my innocent a little child, Sunday school, I asked this priest who was conducting the Sunday school, but who created God? Come and see Armageddon. Little boy. This priest is telling me about how God doesn't tolerate nonsense and is swift to punish those who raise such questions and so on. As a little boy asking an innocent question, that was the response I got from the priest. Now look at fully grown adults doing this to God. Oh my goodness. I cannot imagine what God will do to them. My brother, let's move on to the next topic.
Good morning, KOD. The announced legacy of $2 million SkyTrain, 12 million Ejapa, London Stock Exchange fiasco, 81 million COVID-19 unsupplied drugs, the attempted Ameri inflated deal, the refusal to publish the GRA SML KPMG deal report, the PDS scandal, or the clearing of Madame Cecilia Dapa. Stephen Peng from WA, thank you. Good morning to you, and thank you for this program. I suggest for an independent electoral body to conduct election this year to save Ghana from chaos. KWAME from Jurassic consent in this one. This one says, NAPCO people are to vote to tell Nana about we are coming like a kite. Good morning to you, KOD. One legacy is the president. Okay, I think I've read this one. Good morning to you, KOD. Nothing annoys me more than his arrogance. Mahatma from Tamale. This one says, hi, good morning to you and your panelists. In fact, Nana Ado is a disaster to Ghana and Ghanaians. The biggest regret in my life is voting for him and the MPP. And Nana Ado, never again. I'm Fatal from Tamale. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, this one also says, my former MP Ines of City are very intelligent and brilliant. Keep it up from James K. Sarba. Honorable, it's Bossman, but not Cerebro. Bossman Asari.
Okay.
Good morning to KOD, the panelists. For me, Nana Ado himself has said it all, because in the likes of everything, there are two things involved, which is the good and the bad. So for him, perhaps he might be talking about protecting the corrupt legacy of his. Thank you. I am Martin Amevo from Lakeside Estate. This one says, good morning to you, Kwame. We have a short memory. The father of Ronaldo left the legacy of foul to Magic Golf. Oh, okay. And he's the mother serpent of corruption legacy. Okay. Efo, bless Ghana. Efo Mauli, Jamestown, Accra. Thank you. Okay. Blueprint is writing from Esicado. Okay. Okay. I don't think it's related to what we are discussing this morning. So let me move on to the other topic. Political campaigns must foster unity. Honorable.
Where is it reported?
Daily Graphic page 17 by okay. So Justice Agbenosi, JNAAP president, now president. Political candidates in the 2024 election have been advised to use election campaigns as a platform to foster unity among the public to consolidate the country's democratic credentials. The president of the Ghana National Association of Alternate Dispute Resolution ADR practitioners, Daniel OWUSU, addressing the 11th annual general conference of the association in Accra last Saturday, explained that strengthening the culture of respect for all groups of people in the country would ensure inclusiveness and guarantee peace during and after the elections. Quote, if political candidates are desirous to serve the interests of the people they represent, they will not promote electoral violence, but would rather use the election campaigns to foster unity among the population to achieve national development goals, unquote.
Well, to be honest with you, I fail to see how political campaigning can foster unity. Or unity of what? Maybe foster peace. Maybe we should conduct our elections in such a way that we should not encourage the people to violence. Because we have NDC, and there can only be unity in NDC. I mean, NDC is determined to wrestle power from the MPP. And we're saying that, and I understand what he's saying to be, well, that determination must not lead to violence and to compromise the peace and security of this country. Well, NDC cannot unite with MPP. We can't, because we're different parties. Okay, we're different parties. Now, so let me say that, well, everybody is aware that we're campaigning in this country towards the 2024 elections because there's peace. Countries that do not know peace cannot conduct elections. So peace before, during, and after the elections is very important. We still need a cohesive Ghana. We still need a Ghana that people will go about their lawful activities without fear. And so we need to respect the right of people to belong to different political parties and use persuasion to get them to see why we think there must be a change, but no violence.
I think it's in relation to this recent development of relying solely on religiosity and ethnocentrism for the purpose of campaigning and things like that. You recall what Baumia did?
But we have Christians and we have Muslims. Yes. So we have Buddhists and we have traditionalists. They can't be united. The Christians and Muslims cannot. If you say you are a Christian and a Muslim at the same time, then there's something wrong with you.
Are you referring to Timothy? Or?
Oh, no, I'm just saying.
All right. I'm just saying. So let's go to Mr. Philip Landon and now end with Mr. Pratt, please. Mr. Landon. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think the issue, like my brother just said, it's more to do about peaceful electoral process. But I think that has more to do with the political actors themselves, the way they conduct themselves, the rhetoric they use, etc., the way they actually use it. So that is basically the issue. So if we make a conscious effort to ensure that we accept the principle that yes, it is a competition of ideas, but what we disagree on, there are a whole lot of other issues that we all agree on. if the Black Stars are to meet any Germany or any other country right now, we're all on the same page against the other team. So let us accept the principle that yes, when it comes to elections, it's a competition of ideas. And it is the ideas that we are competing about. The competition is not about where you come from or what religion you are or whatever. Those things are petty. So we should focus on the idea and the individuals presenting themselves. That should be the issue.
Precisely. Thank you. Alaj Hamza and Pig Farm. Good morning to you, my brother. Can you do your your viewers a favor and define to us the full meaning of legacy, so that we take it from there? I simply want to find out whether free SHS can be defined as a legacy. In my humble opinion, all former presidents, starting from Nkrumah, played a role towards free education in Ghana. The biggest legacy President Nado will be leaving behind is this cathedral, stealing the name of the Lord and building the house of the Lord on lies. K.O.D. Nado came to power to amass wealth for his family, not to develop the country. Attack from Medina. Mr. Pratt, please.
Sometimes, when I meet men talk, I find it very difficult to understand them. I think they speak their own language. Because elections is a process of calling a division. Nothing else but a process of calling a division. So how you use elections to foster unity is something which is absolutely strange to me. I can't understand it. In a multi-party dispensation, that whole arrangement is made to encourage competition, division, and so on. But of course, as my co-panelists are saying, perhaps what he wanted to say is that division should not lead to chaos. Maybe we can grant him that. But the election, by its very essence, is calling a division.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mr. Pratt. Hi, K.O.D. It seems ECG is implementing a 24-hour economic policy. They put up my lights in the morning, the evening, and night, just for the maintenance of transfers. Evans sends this one in. Thank you very much, Evans. Yes, transformers. Oh, I didn't say that. Okay, D from Temas says Akufo-Addo is just making fun of himself. What legacy? In fact, jailing them will be the best legacy that Bahama must protect. This one says, good morning to you. The president has a lot of legacies to protect. One, bathing in the air. Into bracket, something Bruni. Sewa Bruni. Okay, all right. Sewa Bruni. Flying a 17,000 euros our jet for robbing God's people to build a cathedral, but ending up building the most expensive hole, appointing managers of double identities to different birthdays and two different mothers, something Binduri, top up for 2020, pensioners yet to hit their accounts. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And that's it for today's edition of Good Morning Africa. Thank you, Honorable. Thank you, Mr. Pratt. Thank you, Mr. Philip Landon, for your time. And a big thank you to our viewers for your time this morning. My name is KWAME OWUSU, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.